Mm. Mm. I'm gonna go way down. Emily, no.
This open meet. Oh, good morning, everyone. This morning it is January 11th, 2024. This open meeting of the Design Review Committee is being conducted remotely pursuant to Chapter 2, the Acts of 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, signed into law March 29th, 2023. All members of the Design Review Committee are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The act allows the Design Review Committee to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to the Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation. This meeting will not feature public comments. Members, when I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Lisa Maselli
Aye.
and Amy Paretsky are both here. Staff, when I call your name, Lori Connors.
Here.
Bob Federico.
Here.
The chair will invite each speaker or applicant on the agenda. We don't have any, so I won't go through that. It is now 8:34. And I was thinking first I'll just go through the minutes so we can get those behind us. So first we had September minutes. We had September 14th and September 22nd. And I think we both sent our amendments to Lori. Did you have any more, Lisa, that you wanted to add?
I haven't yet, so we're all set if you'd like to move forward with them.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the September 14th, 2023 minutes with amendments?
So moved. And
I'll second it. I'll second it. Roll call vote, Lisa.
Aye.
And Amy's an aye. And then do I have a motion to approve the September 22nd minutes as amended?
So moved.
I'll second. Lisa Maselli?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. I actually haven't heard from Dave, so I don't know where he is.
Bermuda Triangle.
Right. Would you like to go through do you have any changes to the October minutes?
October, I haven't been able to, I'm sorry, put the right time into going through it and taking care of October and November. So do we have to, is there a timeline on those?
No, and we're actually meeting the 25th for the fire station. So we could do it super, super fast if you could, if there are any changes, if you can get them to Lori before the 25th. So do you want to wait?
Yeah, I'll work on that today.
Okay, so at least we got September out of the way. We'll have 2 for October. There's 1 in December and 1 in November. Okay. So first on the agenda, we'll talk about the design review. Design bylaw. I'm gonna share my screen. We did the majority of it, so we don't have to go through the whole thing again. Let's see. Can you see what I pulled up?
Yes.
Okay, so I want to make everybody dizzy here. So I don't have any changes to the top.
Stop right there.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me for that. If you could go down a little bit,
Yep.
you can get through no, go back up. Non-conformance and compliance. I think it was C.
Oh, okay.
But right there. Paragraph, parenthesis 2,
Yep.
okay. Failure to act about 2/3 of the way in, failure of the design review committee to act within 20 days. 20 days of what? Okay, that just needs to be cleared up.
Submission of the application. So as soon as you get the application in for the sign bylaw, you should immediately send it to the design review committee, Bob. So it would be 20 days from receipt of the application by design review. So I gave you a little bit of wiggle room because I know you only have 30 days.
I have 30 days from a complete application. Now, a complete application consists of all of the paperwork that's required on my side of things for the building code. And it also, a complete application also includes any approvals or conditions set forth by any board having authority. Okay, so for example, if a project needs a variance, I can't issue the permit unless the variance is in place. Same thing with a special permit. And in this case, it would be the same situation with design review regarding guidelines on the signs.
Okay, so how are we gonna make it work?
Well, I would,
So they should be applying with the design review before they file with you? Is that what we're saying here?
either way would work. Because I could always flag it as, having an incomplete application. So my 30-day clock does not start until the application is complete.
So what if I change the words to say regarding sign design to the building inspector within 20 days of receipt of the sign permit application by the design review committee?
Yeah. I would also just take out the last sentence.
Okay, so failure of the design review committee to act within 20 days?
Mhm.
Wait a
You want
second,
me to delete that?
hang on, because you've got application by design review committee, receipt of the application by design, so
Mhm.
got us getting it and giving it.
Because I'd be concerned, I think it's important to give design review committee a deadline. Because I know before you were concerned that there would be a conflict with your 30-day
Right.
requirement, so.
Yep. I'm just trying to make it all work so that I've got design review has the time and the ability to do what they need to do. And also I need to kind of stick to my 30-day requirement as well. So it's just a matter of massaging the language to make it work. Failure to design review getting to act within 20 days of receipt of the application.
It doesn't, I say application by design review committee.
Yeah.
In 20 days of receipt of the application of the application.
Days of within 20 days of application to the design review committee.
You have to have the receipt, I suppose, the word receipt.
Do you need the receipt?
You have to receive it, so
Yeah, we always mark things received, so
Okay.
that shouldn't be a problem.
how are you gonna write the sentence?
Well, I could just reiterate the phrase. Failure of the design review committee to act within 20 days of receipt of the application shall be deemed a lack of opposition thereto.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
So we're taking out of the by design review committee?
Yeah.
Okay,
You're already saying it up above.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
Is everybody okay with the 20 days? So that means that there may be a need to have an extra meeting to review these applications, depending upon the timing of receipt. Like, for example, if we receive, so today we have a meeting. If we receive a sign permit application tomorrow, then the monthly meeting will be too late. So that means you guys will have to meet again in order to meet the 20-day time frame.
I think that would be okay.
yeah. Just like we're meeting on the 25th. Like, I think when things arise, we can always do it twice a month, but most, usually we'll have a meeting just once a month.
Right, and it won't take that long. The last line where you're saying deadline may be extended by mutual agreement of the design review committee and the applicant.
No, that one is fine. The sentence after that. Any such extension shall automatically extend the period within which the building inspector is required to act on a sign permit.
I get it.
That can just be taken out.
Yes, because the failure of the design review to act meaning if you had to extend it, you could extend it. It
Right.
doesn't have to, you have to say yes or no to it. So that
Well, my concern was that that would mess with your 30 days.
No, because it's the design review in terms of needing to act, they can approve, deny, or extend. Okay, when I hear the word act, it's not provide a decision, it's act on the application. So in my, it's just my take on it is that in acting on something is either approving, setting the meeting. I mean, it's some sort of activity regarding that application, doesn't necessarily restrict itself to approval or denial.
I agree.
Okay, as long as that won't mess you up, Bob, I'm fine with taking that out.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Because they talk about extensions and stuff like that, and again, my required timeline is just that sentence could cause to be problematic at the end.
Okay,
All right. That was the first one I found. I haven't found anything else. I didn't have a chance to read any further into it.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it will probably be talking about it at the planning board next week.
Yeah.
But we can even make changes then if you find something, but
Yeah. Yeah.
okay. So I just wanted to check window signs. Did we say 10% or 20%? I thought in the minutes we'd said 20%, but it says 10%.
Well, if it's in the minutes at 10, then
No, I think it was 20.
okay.
I don't know. I just want to talk with the
Make
board.
it more. I might have been confused because I know we were talking about a bunch of different percentages. So I changed the design guidelines accordingly because I tried to make that match. So
Right.
you need to change that to 20?
I'd like to keep it at 10. We
I
have,
know the
Or-
wall signs are 10% of the facade, but like the other towns I looked at, the windows were all like 20%. Because would you even be able to get your name of your business up there with just 10%?
well, again, it depends on the window, the window size and everything else. I mean, if you go down to the mall next to Ace Hardware, I don't know what the name of that is. What's the name of that mall? Besides Chuck Black's mall?
Thought it was Manny's Plaza.
No, that's next to it.
Oh,
I mean, those windows are very large and they have they're nice, but they have the big logo stuck on each window pane. And then they have a sign over the the window, a sign over the building, and then they have a sign on the door. You know, that's what starts happening, because there's only, how many buildings have the smaller windows like Sammy's, to use an example. So he's got banners on the bottom of each one of his windows. So if you look at the size of the window, you have to look at, again, I think Bob and I talked about the size of letters. You have to kind of look at what happens to the ratio.
So what this would be, so if you had, you know, one large window or you had 5 windows, it would be 10% of the cumulative window area. So you're adding all 5 signs together and you're getting 10% of that.
Oh, so I don't know. Was that confusing? Is that how other people do it? I would think you can only cover like 10% of each window, like, or 20% of each window. Because I thought, like, if you accumulate all of them, like say that Brothers Liquor Store, you add up all those windows and then you put one big sign on the front, like it could cover the whole window, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking about it wrong. So if you,
So it's the cumulative of all windows on the front facade. So, yeah, I mean, 10%, like what if you have a relatively small window and you're trying to do a window sign? If it's 10% of that specific window, then, you know, you're right, it may be not worthwhile because the sign would be so tiny.
right,
It's not legible because the window is small. So, you know, either I would increase the percentage if you're gonna say the percentage of a specific window, or I would leave it at the total glass area.
okay. So total glass area, I agree. I wasn't thinking of it that way. 10% makes sense because 20% would be too much. I was thinking that each window, it was 20%. So like I went to downtown Hudson, and if you walked into the front of a building, sometimes they'd have a window on the left and the right.
You know, sometimes what I've seen, and I can show you some examples. But what they'll do is it's almost like they have a bay window. So they have multiple windows adjacent to each other that make up an entire combo of windows. And then like particularly for hairstylists, they'll put, or, you know, like a nail place, they'll put manicures, you know, they'll do just words at the bottom of the window. So it's almost in a sentence or like a menu, and it's just at the very bottom. I think it's very tasteful, actually. I'm gonna see if I can show you an example. I might have a picture. And so it like carries on through multiple windows, I guess is my point.
Yep.
So I think I do have an example because I was trying to add photos yesterday. So you guys can keep talking while I look for the picture.
Well, I think, I think I'd rather keep it at 10. I think it's, I mean, you can always change it. It's not like it's set in stone. But our, you know, what we look at, and we only have a certain amount of repetitive looks that we might see in Hudson, or we might see in Marlboro, or some of these areas that we're looking at signage for examples. Our main business section doesn't have necessarily those type of buildings where, you know, Hudson's beautiful and you've got the two little bays that come into the door, much like 4 West Main Street. So we have 3 of those on 4 West Main Street on that building itself. But how many other buildings do we have with that layout of windows? If you start remembering how you, as you start looking down. So the little liquor store has just got the 2 flat windows and then the door. I don't even think the windows going to the door are there windows there. I think it's just wall. So you know what I mean? If you start looking at what we have right now for buildings, you're not gonna have the same look. So that's why, you know, and then you take, you know, the downtown anyway, though. Is this for downtown business? Yeah, business districts. So how does Wegmans Mall fit into business districts?
It is highway business. Well, it's a overlay, but
All right, so you know what I'm saying? I mean, when you go to Wegmans, you do, well, most of those are still flat. They don't have that beautiful, you know, old look. So you have to consider what the windows are gonna be before you can always use other towns as a reference. You have to use your own town and what your own town has.
so if
True.
you have 4 West Main Street and there are 3 businesses in the bottom.
Right.
Did each of them get 10% or they have to split the 10% between the 3 of them?
No, each business, because they're renting space.
Amy, if you could stop share, I have that picture
Okay.
I can show you.
When it says all combined window signage shall be limited to 10%. So you're saying if it's 4 West Main Street, each business would get 10%. It wouldn't be you have 10% of all the windows and now you've split it 3 ways.
Right, because there's no way you'd have to do that because you're 3 separate businesses.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
So, can you see that picture?
Yeah.
Okay.
See,
So
that's,
you can see what they did. So here they have a combination of windows.
Yeah.
But if you limit the 10% to just one window, then this accounting tax services would likely not comply. So they have, in this case, they have this window, they have this window, this window, and this window. So they have 4 windows. So they have 2 windows with nothing on it. And then they have, you know, this one right here. And then they have some additional information. Now, this wouldn't comply because they've got the phone number on there. So when you look at the design guidelines, I had said that you can't add a phone number or an email address to your window sign. So that wouldn't be compliant. But what I have seen is people will put like their hours
yeah,
on the window sign, and you know, it'll be much smaller than, of course, their business sign. But in my opinion, this is a tasteful option. So you can see that they don't have any other signs. So they don't have any projecting, they don't have any wall signs. This is the only signs that they provide.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some businesses that opt to do this. Like I've seen it particularly with like cafes. And then, you know, in other locations I've seen at the very bottom, they'll put like manicures, they'll put eyebrow waxing, you know, whatever, at the very bottom of the window. And so once again, and they'll go along all the windows and do that. So they're providing their services down the bottom. And then they'll have either a projecting sign or a wall sign up above.
yeah, I agree. I like the accounting piece, you know, that is tasteful. Writing something below it's tasteful. The one on the other side is not. It's just like, you know, phone number, and if nothing else, that should have been lower at the bottom.
Yeah, I'm not particularly liking this, but if they just did say the hours of operation over here, like I think that would have been fine in a smaller font.
And normally they would do it on the lower part. So even coming into where the door area is, you know, that the bigger corner piece coming in. But again, how many, and I agree with you. I'm just saying in the terms of what we're putting in, we have to consider what we have for businesses and what the buildings look like and what they can actually do with it. So, so I agree. I agree with that, the 10%, and that's that's a good example to use.
So like an example, like I'm thinking about I used a picture of the business. It's on South Street. So there are two businesses. So if you want to look at the design guidelines for awnings,
Okay, want me to share that screen?
Yes, please.
Um,
And I'm assuming it's the pro, I can't remember her name, how to say it, but it starts with a P.
yeah, I think it's a hair salon and then a doctor's office.
Clueless.
No,
Yeah.
not that one. Oh yeah, that's right. I attached it to the entire design guidelines. That's right. So it's way at the back.
Okay.
think it's page
I
18.
threw some pictures in here too that I'm not gonna keep in here, but I was just looking. Let me see where we are.
Page 18 or 19. Yeah, the one after this. Okay, so this business right here.
Okay,
So they don't have any window signs, but they could. I mean, they have the awning, so that would kind of obscure the window sign, but pretend they don't have the awning and they were interested in doing the window sign. So what this would allow them to do is take into account all of the windows and then do 10% of that. So like I said, they could do words on each pane, or they could do more words on one pane and leave the other panes clear. So they would take up, I mean, maybe even 40% of that one window pane. But then the other ones would be clear. Yeah, here's another good example.
Did I just share that one?
Yes.
Okay, that's the Rail Trail Pizza in Hudson. And see, now do you think that's like 10% of all their windows?
yeah, I think, well, I guess you have to go to letter spacing and stuff,
That's way more than 10%.
but collectively,
Mm-hmm.
Well, you think about these windows on the side that they don't have any text in.
yeah, and the top of the door and all that.
So when you add the entire sign area, it's definitely more than 10% of the panes that have words. But if you add all of the window area together, I think it probably would be okay.
I have another one too, but
I like the big bow on that, Amy.
I know
We're into big red bows.
they really decorated downtown for their for the holidays. So
That's
there's
neat.
another one downtown, and they have the projecting sign,
Oh, isn't that cute? I love that.
and then they have the window signs.
That's a great,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great look. That's inviting. It wants you to come in.
I love when the projecting signs are like this.
Mm.
So it gives you an idea of what they're selling. It's like fun and different and cute. It makes you kind of laugh.
Yeah.
That is the potential you have with projecting signs that you don't really have with wall signs.
Can we make projecting, well, I suppose in one respect, not have a box with interlit, the plastic like we have in a couple areas here?
Yeah, when you look at the design guidelines that I put together, I said that in the downtown business district, you just can't do box signs, period.
Oh, okay. Is this in Hudson?
Yeah. Am I sharing others? Or I'm not. I'm just hoping on my side. I was going to show you something else.
I'm
I got a
just
lot of
seeing
good.
the hat one.
Okay.
Now we see diagonal stripes.
Okay. Let me see. I was opening up other ones. Here's a view of their street as you look down for the holidays. You can see they have all the little projecting signs,
In the beautiful, for the,
and they put up the wreaths, and they have the poles, lamp posts.
very nice.
It was really cute. was good time to take pictures.
Yeah, maybe you can send me some of those pictures. You know,
Yeah,
I was gonna take some pictures and I ran out of time, so I stole some pictures off the internet.
they all
So,
did window displays.
yeah, that's cute.
Makes you feel like you might even be in New York a little bit.
Yeah, every single window down there had a display in it. But I'll get back on track because Lori has a meeting at 9:30. So I'm gonna go back to the design and I'll send you some pictures, Lori.
Okay, great.
Yep. So are we back at the design review guidelines? I mean, design bylaw.
So are we keeping the 10% of the total window area?
I'd like to keep it. I think 20 is going up bigger.
As long as it gives them like to do what Hudson did, because I thought it was cute, their windows. And I couldn't tell if it's 10%, 15%.
Again, it depends on, you know, what your building looks like.
I guess it's just a number where, I mean, we're not gonna probably measure them all. So you'd be able to see if something was like taking advantage by covering all the window.
Okay,
Bob, what's your take? You know, as the enforcement authority.
just move on.
He's thinking this is gonna be fun.
Can we go back to, I'm sorry, D16?
Sure.
It's talks about awnings.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the point is to be able to allow signs on the aprons of the awnings. Now, you make this, number 16 makes a statement stating that awnings are allowed for first floor businesses only. Is that a building code requirement or a sign requirement?
Sign requirement.
Okay, because the way it's reading, it says awnings are allowed for first floor businesses, and if they want to put an awning on the second floor, I couldn't allow it.
Right. There shouldn't be awnings on the second floor.
Why not?
What buildings do we have that have businesses on them?
We have a lot of businesses on second floors.
Downtown?
Yep.
So there's, okay, you know where the
My,
building.
so my question is this, is a sign, my point is this, a sign on an awning is a sign, but the awning is a separate structural element in its own right. It is a support structure for a sign, so you can have an awning without a sign. And the way number 16 is written, I could not permit awnings on a second floor of a building.
The problem,
Just
unless,
Personal taste. I personally think it looks a little weird. So there's an example over by the Dunkin' Donuts on Route 20 of where you have an awning on a second floor business. And in my opinion, it looks weird. But, you know, I certainly defer to you folks.
well, I agree with,
sorry.
I mean, I agree with having it on the first floor. The only time I would rather, if it would be on a second floor, would be if the business was the entire building and they use the same awnings on the face of it. But we don't, I mean, I can't imagine that we have a lot of that. I mean, even if you took 4 West Main Street, you put your awnings over the front, those glass fronts. But you wouldn't go up for those windows and put an awning on it, because actually that would destroy the architectural beauty of the building. But if you had a building that had 2 or 3 floors and they had 2 or 3 different businesses, each business could have their own awning color, their own awning design, whether it was curved or straight or whatever. And I personally don't like the look.
Then you need to make a separate regulation on awnings on their own, not connected to signage.
So I have that. I did a whole section on the design guidelines that I emailed you guys yesterday. So there's a whole section on the awnings.
I wonder if some of it we have to add to the bylaw though, because if it's a design guideline like Bob is saying, but it's not part of the bylaw, it's only a suggestion. But then they're gonna come to him and ask for an awning on the third floor and he can't say no. I don't know. I can't even picture any buildings with awnings above the first floor. I think it would
They're
look
all over the
funny.
place in Europe,
Oh,
all
well,
over the place.
So,
And,
would-
and the thing is
Interesting.
this, awnings, that protrude less than 54 inches from the, exterior wall of a building do not require a permit for building.
So this would only be for businesses on the second floor. So if you have a mixed-use building where you have businesses on the first floor and then you have multifamily above, then certainly they can do awnings above.
the,
So for the residential uses, they could do awnings. That's not regulated. It would just be businesses on the second floor wouldn't be able to do awnings.
well, that's gonna be interesting because with some of the buildings that we have, that awnings, meaning people that are trying to create shade over their porch or their window, is that why they would use awnings?
Historically, that's been the use of an awning.
Right, so that's like, a trailer that has an awning that comes out front and people can sit under it. So now you're saying awnings for residential and in a mixed use are okay, which again is going to now change the face of that building if it's in downtown.
so then maybe the decks and the balconies should be on the back of the building.
Well, normally they are. We only have one so far that there's decks, and that's I always call it 7 Monument Place because I don't remember the number at that West Main Street. But if they wanted to put awnings across the back, or in our case, the front, and they all had different colors and different styles and whatever, again, the whole idea of, I think, Route 20 and the commercial area was to make it business, not to make it residential. It was residential in the 50s or 40s or 30s. Now we've gone full circle and we're bringing them back. So we're not going to have a consistent look if we're going to start putting that kind of freedoms on there. But I never even thought about awnings on a second or third floor until you just mentioned it, because the last one going in right now, in between the Apex building and the Renovo building, has 3 apartments. Is that right? 3 or 4 apartments in it. So either
Right.
any of those sides of that building, the left, front, and right, could have awnings on it, is what you're saying, which would conflict with the visual of what the first floor would have in their awnings. And anyway, they're renters. How can would the landlord let a renter put an awning up?
So that,
Depends how the landlord, depends how tightly the landlord rules his, property.
Huh.
I
So,
don't think this is a common issue. So, the mixed use buildings that I've noticed, I haven't seen awnings on the second and third floor for residential use. I'm just thinking about that one building. It's over by Dunkin' Donuts. It's a yellow building and it has an awning on the second floor.
He's got COVID. They gotta keep testing.
Now we're all gonna drive by. I don't even know.
That's.
same side of Duncan?
Remember I came home.
Same side, yep.
Brother had it and you gotta keep on testing.
So,
All right, but we have to keep moving because Lori is done at 9:30 and there's one more thing I wanted to bring up. So I don't know how we want to decide how this should be worded. Maybe Bob and Lori, you guys can talk
Okay.
offline.
I don't know why we haven't said, yes, we want to see it on the second floor.
Right,
Business. So we're not talking residential in this right now anyway, right?
right. So maybe just leave it the way it is.
And then we have to discuss it for later. Maybe that's under awnings, Laurie, if that awnings takes in all of that stuff. Where this bylaw takes in the business part of it.
Okay. What I added, because we had discussed, we're adding more signs now, we're adding projecting signs and awning signs, and so now it could be a lot of signs. I went back to what other towns did. And in Southborough, they had maximum number of signs allowed unless otherwise provided herein, there shall be not more than 2 of the, and I put 4 or 5 because it depends on how many. I was thinking not including windows. I was thinking about Hudson when I was doing this. So those shall be not more than 2 of the following types of signs of the type of 4 signs. So you could do a wall sign and an awning sign. You could do a blade sign and a wall sign. Like, I don't think there are a lot of freestanding signs in downtowns. Like,
Yeah,
at least in Hudson, everything was along this, the building.
Yeah, but we don't,
I did put that in the design guidelines under sign types.
Yeah,
I said to minimize clutter, each store should be limited to 2 sign types only, i.e. 1 wall sign and 1 projecting sign, or 1 freestanding sign and 1 window sign, etc. All signage shall have a consistent theme in use of materials, lettering, and lighting, and should be subordinate to the architecture and larger landscape. So
like that.
I could move that sentence into the bylaw if you want.
I
I
like,
think so, because it's the only way to enforce it.
yes,
Or else everybody's gonna have 5 signs. And then it will really look cluttered.
good idea.
But are window signs included? Because
Yes.
I was thinking of the Hudson picture where I'll share it again. So this person has a projecting sign, a window sign, and then they do have a small wall sign. I don't know. And some of them have a small wall sign up here and they have a projecting sign, and yet they still have the window. So I wasn't including the window in the count.
I think you have to include the window in the count. And maybe you could ask if it's a small sign like antiques and gifts where that is not that's your product. It's a different kind of
Let
sign.
me see what Rail Trail did. So they have a wall sign, they have a window sign, but they don't have the projecting sign.
Mhm. I think when you're in small areas, you have to keep it without the clutter. No, they have a rail trail, actually, if you look up at the hard right. They have,
Oh, okay, so they do. So they see, I feel like if you're picking 2 signs, you could have the projecting and the wall, but I feel like the window sign shouldn't be included because they're here, they would have 3. And if
Well-
we're saying 2, then the person could only do, you're not gonna have any projecting signs probably because they would just do the wall and the window.
well, consider the fact that we're in Northborough now and we're looking at the mobile station. The mobile station has 2 windows and a door that they have paper all over it. They have a big sign over the must be freestanding that has the mobile sign on it. They have signage around their awning. We don't have these buildings. We have to look at what we do have downtown.
I'm just thinking of Blake Street, if we wanna do the downtown revitalization and you have Blake Street. So like Sawyer's Bowling now actually has a projecting sign, probably a wall sign, but I have no idea. And then a window.
Well, when the time comes that that's going to happen, and that could be 2 to 3 years from now, then redo it. But you can't think that far in advance for buildings that aren't there because you don't know what's going to go there.
Yeah, I was just trying to match. I have a bunch of other pictures, but they're not open. This is too close, so I don't know if she had a projecting sign. They definitely all had window displays though.
Yeah, and they're beautiful.
Another thing that we could do is, you know, just leave it as a design guideline instead of a regulation. So that way you can kind of decide.
I think it has to be a regulation or we're gonna get, everybody's gonna do 5 signs.
There's a lot of signage on that Chuck Black.
I'm
comp-
just going to this. I want to see what Tavern on the Square did. So they're on the freestanding sign, they have an awning sign, and they probably have something in the windows here.
Pull up the picture. Yeah. Yeah, they've got their logo in the picture.
Yeah. So I feel like in a way that the window sign shouldn't count.
Well, then how do we put in the 10% saying you can only have 10% coverage of windows and
Well, so that sentence, to minimize clutter, each store should be limited to 2 sign types only. So I can just exclude window signs from the list.
That's what I did when I did it. Like no more than 2 of the 4 following types of signs. Wall, projecting, freestanding, awning, and I was gonna take out window. I don't know, I'm trying to think of, I don't want to use people's names. So say it's like Amy's coffee shop downtown. I have a window display or a window sign. I've got my name above the door on the wall sign. I guess like you said, it depends on the area, like the what we have in place now. Wouldn't work, but what we want to do would work if we're wanting to look like the cute shops on Hudson.
but you need things to look like that. So until we get there, we have to work with what we have. So that's
Well, Lisa, I think most of what this sign bylaw is going to apply to is new construction. So, you know, a lot of the, what we're trying to do is change the direction of new construction. So I think that we should plan for the new construction now in these design guidelines and in the sign bylaw. Because if we're not planning for the new construction, then we're gonna have issues that are gonna make things go to the ZBA for variances. So I think it's important to think very carefully of what you want for what currently exists, but also what could be coming down the pike.
I think we were gonna send out an enforcement letter too after this was done, because some of the windows are covered. And in the past, we didn't allow them. Like all of those are, there's no window signs allowed in our bylaws as of right now. So that would mean every business with signs on their windows is non-compliant. So we could have them come into compliance and match the new bylaw that we're putting in place. Because if they had to follow the old bylaw, then they shouldn't have anything on the windows.
Yeah, good point. Can I just say, housekeeping and downtown business district lot 1, A and B, the spacing should be closer to the A and B like C is.
Yeah, that might just be my computer. I don't know if Lori's looks the same. Or mine did that.
Yeah, when I copy this into a warrant article, I'm going to be changing the format. So like, I'm not going to include language that is not being modified. So like the formatting is going to change so that it matches the zoning bylaw. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to kind of redo this. But it works well for our purposes, you know, the planning purposes.
Okay.
To do it this way.
Can we just go down just a little bit? What's the rest of D, sandwich board sign?
Okay.
Just one line, okay. So sandwich board sign, interrupt the flow of pedestrian cyclists, flow of pedestrian cyclists or automotive traffic. How is that? I mean, is the pedestrian under the ADA compliance type of thing where they could get around with their wheelchair? How do you make sure that that's understood?
So they have to keep a minimum of 3 feet of clearance.
So should we
So
write,
it would only be I guess, kind of a complaint scenario. Because of course, these sandwich boards are gonna be brought out every day
I've said.
and then put in.
Let's hear another one.
boys go downtown, and there is a, there's at least one man that does go down.
Right there.
Unfortunately, I didn't get this whole sidewalk, but I can see that they keep it close to the building so it's not blocking the whole sidewalk.
Yeah, you need to do that. It's just what are our sidewalks right now that you drive, going down there. You've got to be able to get around it. And a walker can get around it a lot easier than somebody in a wheelchair can. So how do you,
Whether it's a walker or a wheelchair, you still need to maintain AAB guidelines. And if you go back to the text that you were sharing, could be a pretty easy thing to, sandwich board sign, provided that it does not interrupt the safe flow of pedestrian, cyclist, or automotive traffic. Okay, it's safe flow of, ADA, AAB pedestrian traffic.
perfect, thank you.
So
Okay,
it's ADA, what?
ADA/AAB.
AAB?
Architectural Access Board. It's Massachusetts' answer to the ABA. It's the same thing, except it's different,
Yep.
literally. For some reason, Massachusetts has special rules that are the majority is in agreement with the ADA regulations, but the ADA is a federal regulation through the Department of Justice, which the building code in Massachusetts does not recognize. We do recognize AAB, which is the Architectural Access Board, which is enforceable through the building department.
I like it. Perfect, thank you.
So I'm looking at this sentence up here again. So we're allowing 2 out of 4. But what I noticed in the other town and what it will mean for our town is we're allowing 2 out of 4 of these types of signs. But if you have a sandwich board sign or a directory sign, that doesn't count in your 2 out of 4.
Correct.
I just want to make sure. Okay. Those were all the changes I had. And like I said, we're going to the planning board with this next week, and there's still going to be a public hearing. So if there's anything that comes up that we missed,
Okay, well, Laura's got 5 minutes.
right? Okay. So should we not even, I don't think we should even start going through the guidelines now. Before the next meeting, we can take a chance to read it. We could even send comments back to Lori if you wanted to. I thank you, Lori, for doing it. The guidelines are great, and it's a good start. And our next meeting, we can talk about it.
Yeah, if you can send me those pictures, I'd like to supplement.
Sure.
So what I did, just so you know, with I thought that maybe it'd be good to get away from the discouraged and just I highlighted encouraged. So all the examples that I have are of pictures are encouraged pictures. So I don't know if you want me to go around and find ugly pictures from other towns and those in there, but I thought I'd spend my time coming up with good examples instead of bad examples. So we can talk about that next time.
Yep. Okay,
Nice examples, very nice.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay. All right, thanks, everybody.
All right, thank
We'll
you.
see you on the 25th for the
One more-
fire station.
all right, do I move for the meeting to be adjourned?
So move.
I guess I second.
We're all second. Roll call vote, Lisa Maselli.
Here.
Amy Perutsky, we both vote. We'll see you guys on the 25th.
Bye.
Bye.